Jace on the case. Welcome back, sir. It is Tour Pro Tuesday.
Tour Pro Tuesday, TPT.
And an exciting day that we have because we just wrapped up the Tour Championships where Scotty Scheffler pretty much washed the debate that was going on most of the second half of the year with who had the better year, Xander Schauffele or him. And I got to tell you, Xander had a fantastic year, but Scotty had a great year.
Had a great year.
7 wins.
7 wins. $65 million.
$65 million. $25 million was an annuity. But I mean, I guess, listen, annuity is still the jingle.
I think we'll take it.
We'll take it. The big question to you at home, before we jump into today's analysis, is what do you think of spotting the field shots based off of where they rank? Scotty's starting 10 under par. I know my opinion is that I'm not a big fan of it at all. And I know that they're probably doing this to try to save confusion on the point system that they had in place originally. Take the money and redistribute it to maybe some of the smaller events that aren't considered their high-level events and get some of these guys that, or incentivize some of these guys that aren't playing in those events to come back, because golf is a sport that we all love. And if I had the opportunity, I'd be like Tom Kim. Tom Kim he plays like 90 events a year. And there's not even 90 to play in. I know these guys need breaks. I know it's life on the road and it's very taxing, but incentivize some of these guys to start coming back and playing some of the lower events. Maybe we get back to a little bit more of the traditional side of things. Roll back this golf ball, bring back the balata ball, roll back the equipment. Let's get out there and let's start making some real ball strikers out of this. And speaking of ball strikers, Scotty Scheffler is a machine. And when he's got the flat stick working, he tore this golf course apart.
Can't be beat.
I don't think he is beatable. Today, what we're doing inside the lab is we are going to be taking a look at the load and separation process in Scotty's golf swing. Why? Well, because a lot of you at home just started going through the process of perfecting your sequence. But we're also going to show you the unload line. We're going to start getting the wheels turning in your brain because we have a big one coming for you this week, because there's so many questions of when and how to start the downswing. And there's so many different ways to kind of think about it, but it's going to be very tied to your DNA. And you're going to be able to start moving from a setup position into the unload line in the proper sequence. And you're going to see the positions that we talk about in today's video. You guys ready? Are you ready, Jason?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Let's go ahead and get started. Oh yeah, do us a big favor. Before we start the analysis today, head down below and make sure you hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel, because this video series, a lot of people are really starting to find enjoyment of. We want you to get notified. And if you have any questions or comments, or you want to leave us some information on what you think about the tour spotting the field shots like this, let us know. All right, so we got a fun one for you, because we can actually see the load, separation, and unload portion of the drill that you're currently learning just by looking at world #1 player Scotty Scheffler. I want to look at this from face on very closely so you can see the load line and see exactly how he starts his golf swing. So this is a fairway metal here in his hands. You can see that little 1-inch gap between the right thigh and that line. And we're going to go ahead and start the processes of moving into the load line. So weight shift is happening first. The hips are rotating. And if you look at the lead hip and the lead knee, it's turned in ever so slightly. That left hip and left knee turning in is allowing the right hip to rotate back into depth. Now remember, what happens after we start the load process into the trail side? Well, we're going to finish off our body turn and we're going to create good separation. And that's exactly what you're going to see here from a down the line perspective. So I want you to pay very close attention to this trail knee as we start the processes of working into the load line. So left hip, left knee start to turn in towards the golf ball. Okay, 70% underneath that trail foot. Golf swing is started on the right tone. Now watch the hips become very quiet from here up to the top of the golf swing. So there's the separation. Now what we need to do is we need to have the signal for when it's time to start moving back to our lead side. That's the piece of the puzzle that a lot of you struggle with, because there's so much gray area when it comes to how and when to shift. We have many golf instructors that'll tell you to start shifting as soon as your hands get outside of your trail thigh down here. We have golf instructors that'll tell you that it's somewhere at lead arm parallel to the ground, all the way up to the hands way up above the right shoulder. What I want you to remember, again, is it's very player dependent. It's how you're going to build the forces into your golf swing. What we generally advocate here at MyGolfDNA is that your turn is what's going to signal for you to start moving over to your lead side. You want to be able to create a good full turn and start moving off of the trail side as your hands and arms still continue to work into the vertical plane. So that generally will happen somewhere between lead arm parallel up to about the shoulder line. And again, this is where Scotty continues to move his hands and his arms into the vertical plane. He's finishing off his body turn, and he's going to start moving over to his lead side and into the unload line. And this is what you're going to be learning later on in the week. This is a position that you're going to see that's very common with most playing professionals, is when we get ourselves fully transitioned onto our lead side. I want you to take notice of the hips. The hips have gone from a 45-degree wound position back to virtually a square position. The shoulders are still very closed. Right shoulder's up, left shoulder's down. But look at the hands and the arms really closely. Left arm is parallel to the ground, and this left hand is virtually right in line with the sternum. This is a very good piece for you all to start looking at, because a lot of you at home, when you look at your golf swing, are going to see your hands much lower down into the hitting area. Why? Well, because your force of movement comes from your hands and your arms. You're not being patient in that slow zone of the golf swing and allowing the body to start to dictate where the hands and arms are going to be moving to. Once you get yourself transitioned onto the lead side, this is the acceleration zone. This is where we start getting the hands and arms to go as fast as they possibly can, all the way down into the speed zone where we start to let the club release. So the peak hand speed is going to start to come in right about here, all the way down into the belt line. But I want you to look at it from a face-on perspective as well, because you're going to learn how to move into this unload line, and you're going to learn exactly the timing that needs to happen in order for you to be able to do this perfectly. So let's go ahead and draw the load line back on here. And let's go ahead and move him through into the trail side. Okay, so body turn is finishing. Hands and arms are reaching up into the vertical plane. Okay, you can tell he's got still a significant amount of pressure underneath this trail foot. Now here's where we're going to start to move left. Okay, so we would see, if we had him on a force plate, that we would see some of that weight moving off of the trail leg. Why? Well, look at that right shoulder. And look at the club where it's moving to. That pressure is getting pulled off of the trail side just by staying patient on that right leg. Now he can start using the right foot to help start getting things moving. He can also use a great deal of the lead leg as well to help pull him into this position, again, that you're going to see is very common. This is a great visual for what you're going to learn as far as the unload line is concerned. Now, if we draw a line up from the center of the ankle on the lead side, I want you to take notice of the outer portion of the back. Notice how this has formed a vertical line. We don't see the upper part of the body hanging back, and we see that the lead arm is parallel to the ground, with the lead hip just being a little bit inside of neutral. This is a great spot for you to be able to start your post up and your movement through the hitting area and release it with a great deal of speed, but also a great deal of slowdown from the body so that you can produce maximum efficiency like you would see of a trebuchet or a catapult. That's what you're going to be learning. The key to this is understanding what you need to feel in your body and what you're going to be looking for when you move into the load line. And I'm going to teach you that later on in the week. And it's going to be really fun to be able to tie in what you learned on week number 1 into week number 2 and be able to build more reps into it and set yourself up for week number 3 where we finish this thing off. And then you'll be doing the LSU drill by the 4th week. We'll see you guys in the next video.